Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh, this Joe Rogan Trump interview, folks, I mean, this is just the gift that keeps on giving. I'll probably be recording a couple videos on the topic today because there's just so many good moments to cover, but most importantly, so many good concepts to cover and speak of. I'm going to try to keep this intro as short as possible since we have a sponsor actually on this video. Basically, the topic is this. People see it. People get it. The left tries to paint this MAGA movement as something deeply sinister. Oh, it's just hatred. A bunch of far-right extremists taking over the Republican Party. But it's anything but. What it really is rebellion against an out-of-control, corrupt regime. And people get it, and that's why the powers that be in the media lashes out the way they do. And that point was highlighted so well in this interview. I want to show you guys the greatest moments from the podcast related to this particular topic. But before we get into any of it, this video is brought to you guys by a sponsor, so let's play that clip. This video is brought to you guys by American Hartford Gold. Listen, folks, in terms of a long-term financial view, the worst thing that you could do is hold on to cash. Everything is getting more expensive. If you hold on to cash, you simply become poorer, and that's where American Hartford Gold comes into play. American Hartford Gold is a 5-star rated company across the board, and also boasting an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. These guys are simply the best, and they're here to protect you in these inflationary times by diverting a portion of your portfolio into solid precious metals, gold and silver. And friends, American Hartford Gold makes it as easy as it gets. All you got to do is give them a call, and they'll have physical gold and silver sent to your doorstep or directly deposited into your IRA or 401k. It's a no-brainer, folks. Hold on to the world's oldest and most stable investment. That's precious metals. Protect yourself from inflation, and all it takes is a single phone call. And you probably thought I was done there, but nope, it gets even better because they're currently running a special promotion where you can receive up to $15,000 in free silver on qualifying purchases. Friends, like I said, it's a no-brainer. Protect yourself against the incompetence of these useless, empty-suit politicians by simply giving a call to 844-440-1005. That's 844-440-1005, or text Hivemind. That's one word, Hivemind, to 65532. Again, that's text Hivemind to 65532. A huge thank you to American Hartford Gold. Now back to the video. All right, folks, so I first want to start off with this clip right over here. Just take a look. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and I've already pretty much laid the context.
The rebels are Republicans now. They're like, you want to be a rebel, you want to be punk rock, you want to buck the system, you're a conservative now. That's how crazy. And then the liberals are now pro silencing criticism. They're pro censorship online. They're talking about regulating free speech, and they're regulating the First Amendment. It's bananas to watch.
Joe, they come after their political opponent.
Well, they
I got more guys. I always say, I kid, but I'm not kidding. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the meanest of them all. He'd kill you in 2 seconds if he didn't like you, right? I've been under investigation more than Alphonse Capone, only because it's political opponent stuff. And I've won. I won the big case in Florida. I'm winning the other stuff. You win, but you know what they did? They did something that's only done in third world countries. They came after their political opponent.
Yes.
I could have put crooked Hillary in jail.
Well, not only that, but they're weaponizing it by saying that that's what you're going to do once you get in office.
Isn't it great?
By ignoring what they're doing right now. It's crazy.
I heard it. Somebody was defending me today. They said, no, they say that's what you're doing to him. They're going, he's going to put us in jail. He's going to invest.
That's what you're doing.
That's what you're doing to him.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, will you do that? Will you do that to him, to them, if you win? The presidency has tremendous power. I could have put crooked Hillary
I
in
respected
jail.
that you didn't, because what you said was it would be bad for the country.
Trump is less of a man at this point and more of an icon. And when you're an icon, you represent something. And that's exactly it. It's punk rock, wanting to buck the system. And people who are being honest, people who are paying attention, always understood this. I mean, for Pete's sake, even Michael Moore, far leftist Bernie Sanders documentary maker, Michael Moore, understood this very clearly back in 2016.
Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant, because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for.
And actually, speaking of leftists who understand this, even Anna Kasparian recently had this epiphany moment.
Donald Trump is the middle finger manifested in human form. And I think that the individuals who support him, they might support him for other reasons as well. But I do think that one of the dominant reasons is that it's giving a middle finger to our political establishment, to our institutions. And a lot of Americans feel like those institutions and the political establishment has let them down, whether we're talking about the Democratic establishment or the Republican establishment.
And that's exactly it. It's people who are fed up with the growth of Washington, Washington's influence, its spreading of its tentacles into every facet of life, controlling who gets to be in power, what's acceptable, what's not. That's not the American way. That is the antithesis of what the founding fathers envisioned for this great nation. And really the dynamic between the powers that be, what people refer to as the deep state, the dynamic between the deep state and Donald Trump and his candidacy, the rise of his candidacy, is what I think woke so many people up. I guess if you think about it, we're actually the woke ones. People see it as clear as day. The moment Donald Trump was telling the truth, and of course, the moment he was perceived as an actual political threat, well, that's the moment where the establishment brigade started.
It was the episode of you when you were on The View. And I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
Right.
And you got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you. They were all talking about how you might be conservative in your financial positions, but you're very liberal socially. They were talking about you in such a favorable light. The audience was cheering. And then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you.
Yeah.
But there's probably no one in history that I've ever seen that's been attacked the way you've been attacked, and the way they've done it, so coordinated and systematically. And when you see those same people in the past, very favorable to you, like Oprah, when you were on Oprah's show, she was encouraging you
last week.
And that's another thing that Joe Rogan obviously understands, and he highlighted it to his tens of millions of loyal listeners. People see it, and actually Dana White spoke about this the other day. I played you guys that clip. Maybe I could play a shortened version here.
The narrative that has been flipped on Donald Trump is one of the craziest things that I've ever seen, yet at the same time, brilliant and like a masterpiece in what they've done to this guy. First of all, he's a racist, right? They say he's a racist.
They say that, yeah.
Show me one video, 1 ounce of proof where he has ever acted like a racist. And one of the things that he's said to me, he said, let me tell you what, I've been in the hotel business my whole life. And in the hotel business, people from all over the world work for you. Never been called a racist until I became a Republican and ran for president, right? I mean, and you talk to anybody of any race or color that knows him and has known him for years, they love him.
Donald Trump's never been called a racist before until he ran as a Republican, right? And people clearly see that. The moment Donald Trump started to ruffle their feathers in Washington, the globalists, the elites, the ones hell-bent on power, hell-bent on taking over the U.S. and reforming it in their UNWEF vision, the moment they saw Donald Trump actually challenging their power, it became all-out information warfare. And people saw that, and naturally, people who like to rebel against this kind of thing, just like the founding Americans did, well, that's the moment Donald Trump became an icon. That's the moment this new MAGA movement started. People want to go back to the fundamental values of the nation: freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the right to bear arms, the right to carve your own path, be in control, at least as in control as you can be, of your own destiny. And obviously, the establishment types in Washington don't like that very much, especially in the digital age. They want to be able to control what you see, control what's allowed to be said. Essentially, they want to follow in the path of Canada, Germany, the United Kingdom, Australia, the list goes on, where you have a parliamentary system totally controlled by leftist tyrants who pass laws that are abusive of people's right to expression. Essentially the Kamala Harris types.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
If you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable as a community.
That's what the MAGA movement is rebelling against. What the MAGA movement cares about, first and foremost, is freedom. You know, the left talks a big game when it comes to corporations, dark money, corrupt politicians, and corrupt political groups. But if you think about it, in almost every single instance, they fall in line with these exact groups, as long as it fits their interest. Meanwhile, you have the other side, led by figures like Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that are actually willing to stand up against the powers that be. And that was actually brought up a couple times in the Rogan podcast.
Do you have anyone that is pressuring you to not work with him? Have there been people that are reaching RFK Jr.?
Yes.
Yes, I would imagine. Because financially, he could put a dent.
I would say that, and you know, I think in many ways they've done a good job. In many ways they've done a bad job. But I would say that the Big Pharma wasn't thrilled when they heard that, you know, I have a relation. I've actually always gotten along very well with him. I've known him a long time. He's a different kind of a guy. He's very smart, great guy. And he's very sincere about this. I mean, he really is, you know, he thinks we spend a fortune on pesticides and all this stuff, and then you end up with that chart is a terrible chart, the one previous. It's such a bad chart when you look at where we are compared to other countries that don't spend 10 cents.
Right.
So, you know, and you save a lot of money. But, yeah, I've had some people that aren't exactly thrilled.
First of all, I love this idea of you teaming up with Robert Kennedy.
Right.
And I love this Make America Healthy Again idea, because there are chemicals and ingredients in our food that are illegal in other countries because they've been shown to be toxic. There's pesticides and herbicides, and there's a lot of shit that's been sprayed on our food that really is unnecessary. And there's a lot of health consequences that people are suffering from a lot of these things. And
I brought this chart for you.
Beautiful.
Because I had a feeling you'd be asking me.
Thank you.
Look at this chart. These are healthier countries. Look where the United States is. I'm going to send this to RFK Jr. Look
so
at that.
This is, well, something along the, I was actually talking to RFK today, and he told me that more than 70% of young men are ineligible for the military because of their health.
I could see it.
That's crazy.
A lot of it's obesity.
So here's the life expectancy versus health expenditure.
Same chart.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
USA.
Wow,
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Jamie's the best.
He's very good.
He's the best.
But no, but look at that. Look where
at
the
USA
is.
It's not good. And that's our food.
That
that's our diet. That's sedentary lifestyle. That's our diet. That's the chemicals we ingest. That's what that is.
But RFK is going to be very, you know, I think he's a great guy.
I love the fact that you guys teamed up.
Yeah.
And are you completely committed to have him a part of your administration?
Oh, I am.
I mean, do you need any more convincing that Donald Trump is the true anti-establishment pick? They're willing to take on Big Pharma, where obviously, I mean, we saw it, right? Not even going to really go into detail, but we saw the left falls in line with the interest of Big Pharma. You know, the simple fact is Donald Trump has put himself in harm's way, in front of a literal bullet, I'd say. He's fearlessly taken on the establishment. People say that he's running for president because he only cares about Donald Trump. Charlemagne actually said that today, but it's total nonsense. Donald Trump's put himself in literal harm's way. His businesses are currently being destroyed in the courts. His personal reputation, his freedom's at stake. I mean, they're charging him with what, over 700 years worth of imprisonment and charges? He's lost, I think, roughly half of his net worth, getting hit with massive fines in New York by corrupt prosecutors. How could you possibly describe that as a man who's in it for his own interest? It's obvious that Donald Trump is in it for your interest, for the nation's interest, and most importantly for the interest of freedom and protecting people's constitutional rights. The Republican Party has become the anti-establishment party. It's become a grassroots movement that is awake and that is honestly fighting for the interest of every American, despite the difficulty, despite the lack of influence and power, and especially cultural power. And that right there is why these leftist hacks in the media keep scratching their heads. Why isn't it working? We called Donald Trump Hitler again this week. Why is it not working? Well, it's not working because people see through it, and most importantly, the MAGA voter base is loyal, and they get it. That's why Trump's electoral floor remains as steadfast and strong as it is. People aren't going anywhere because they've been enlightened. They've seen it. They've seen how the cake is made. And like I always say, once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the way that it works. And that right there is Donald Trump's political superpower. And I'm just glad that it's being highlighted in front of such an incredibly large audience by such an honest man as Joe Rogan. If you're part of the shadowy cabal, as self-described by the left, well then you're probably seething at this point. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.